Hello. Oh, hello. Marianne Amen here again. Magnificent Love Business and Mindset Coaching. I rarely say that. I don't know why, but I thought I'd throw that in today. So glad to be here. I'm excited about today's message. I hope you will be too. I entitled it, Don't Worry, Be Happy, but it's actually a pretty meaty message. And so if you're coming on to watch the replay, #replay, I would love that. Blesses my heart to see that. Encourages me that the message is relevant. So thank you for showing up. So make yourself known when you come in. Just give a high five, a heart, say hi. I love it. All right, so today I said we're going to be talking about don't worry, be happy, but really it's about another aspect of being a queen. Another aspect of being a queen. A queen does not worry about the future. Now that may sound surprising because if you go out and look through history and you have these stories about queens, it looks like that they do a lot of worrying, you know? But eventually, if they do worry, they get out of the worry state and they get into the preparation, into the planning, into the action state. All right? So, queens may worry, but they're not consumed by worry and they know what to do when they do worry. All right? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So, let me just wait for another minute. Hello, Darlene. My hubby's on. I see that there are a few people there. Hello, Kathy. Good to see you. Just finished jury duty. Wow. Yep. Stay as long as you can. Maybe this will be something that you can come back to later on. All right. Yeah. So one of the things that has caught my attention lately, and I think that it's something that most everybody is feeling, they're not talking about it, you'll hear about it. And there's this global worry. And it's not just the United States because we're having elections, but it's something that's affecting the whole country. And, you know, if you were to talk to different people with the election coming up, you're going to get a lot of different views on that, right? You're going to get a lot of different views on that. But both sides are projecting problems. Both sides are projecting circumstances that are going to be even worse than the pandemic. So whatever it is you've experienced with the pandemic, people are saying that it's going to be even worse. And, you know, I don't usually listen to that stuff because at my age, we've been through so many of those kinds of warnings and situations, and maybe it's hard for a while, but you know, we always come back. And it's not just the human spirit that does that, and that's important, but it's because of God. God is in control, and we do go through things, but we do eventually find our way. We do eventually find our way. So, that kind of worry can be positive. It can drive people. And I'm not just want to talk about this right now. I just want to give this little bit of intro. We can talk about that, and it can drive people to vote, exercise their right to vote, where maybe they wouldn't before. It can cause people to encourage others to exercise their right to vote, encourage people to get out there to speak and to assist the whole process. All right, it can be very positive. The negative side about it is a lot of the fear of violence can produce more violence. And there are people who are afraid of the violence. They're afraid of going to the polls. They're afraid of what's going to happen to the country if this person wins versus that person. So worry is in the air. Worry is in the air. And I think it's really important to look at this now, before the election and after, so that there is a sense of preparation. If you haven't already been preparing yourself for it, this may be the opportunity to do that. All right. The other thing, though, is I don't want to speak so much about that. I want to bring it home to a more personal level. Because really, a lot of our worry is daily. It's in daily life, it's in daily circumstances, it's in our relationships, it's with our children, it's in our businesses, it's in our home. There is so many opportunities to worry. And so I want to share a little bit today about personally some of the worry I've gone through, my husband has gone through about buying a new house. All right. And then using that as a springboard to talk about how do we transcend that? How do we transcend worry? And I will give you a clue here that when we are able to turn worry into wonder, we have turned the corner. When we can turn worry into wonder, we have turned the corner. And so I'm going to speak about that a little bit in a bit. All right. But let me just tell you about some of the worries that have come up for me in regard to finding the house that we desire. And you can use this for whatever situation you're in. You know, you might want to even take notes as I talk about this, because this could be very freeing to you. When we started this journey, and by the way, let me just say this. The last house that I posted about that seemed like it was going to be our new house, and it had all these beautiful upgrades in it. It was very spacious, right? As we did the inspection, we found out that it just wasn't what we wanted. All right. We had to have the courage to stop the process and to really trust our instincts about it. And so we did. And we stopped the process, and we were able to do it within a certain a time frame. And then we went back to looking at more. Well, during that process, you know, when you're looking for whatever it is you're looking for, it's an opportunity to really clarify not really who you are, but what your desires are. And sometimes it's hard to know. Sometimes we don't know what our desires are. And so you go out, and it could be an opportunity to clarify it. But we did find another home, and I chose to honor my desire of it being on the water. And now we live in Arizona. We live in a desert. So trying to find a home on the water is not easy. And it's also premium property because there are so few places on the water around here. But we did find a place that suits us, that we love, and we got the bid on it. And it was interesting because my realtor told me that, and I wasn't going to mention this. I'll do it anyway, though. But my realtor said that one of the reasons why the seller decided on us was because of her checking out my Facebook profile. I don't know what she saw there, but whatever she saw, it was enough for her to say, I want these people. So whatever role that played in her selection process, it worked in our, here's the word, favor, right? It worked in our favor. How cool is that, right? So anyway, let's get back to some of the worries. Some of the worries, and maybe you can identify with some of these worries. I'd like you to try and think about from that point of view. Worry about finding the home of our desires triggered the concern, well, what are my desires? What is it that my heart really wants? Can I get the clarity for that? What if I pick something that out of just picking it and not really owning my desires, picking my desires, not because I don't know what my desires are? There was worry around that. There was worry around that. What the other worry, will I get what I desire in the price range I'm looking for? All right. You know, whatever your budget is at a certain space and time, my budget may be different next year, but I'm in this year. I'm in this year. So the question is, do I even want to buy something this year versus next year versus 2 years from now? Right? Is this the right time? the interest rates are this, but the housing rate is increased and people are bidding on houses now, so it can look like this is the absolute worst time to buy some property. And maybe it is. Maybe it is, but you can have worry around that, right? And then you can worry about regretting the decision that you made, that later on, you all of a sudden see, oh my gosh, the economy fell through the bottom. Now I should have purchased, I should have waited till then instead of now. And worry can be triggered in all the circumstances. How about worry about, and I want you to also do this, as you're listening to this, feel inside and like, is there a reaction I'm having in my body? Because worry causes certain reactions, all right? It does. It creates stress. Cortisol is released, it creates stress. So I'm not trying to put you in a state of stress as I talk about this, but I do want you to be aware of what happens when you start thinking about things, even if it's not your issue, all right? What happens in your body as you think about these things, as worry comes upon you, even somebody else's worry, all right? I'm going to fix this before we're done. But if you will just play along here and feel what you feel as I talk about this. The other thing that I was worried about was the increased expense every month. Even though, buying a place most of the time is a better investment than renting. And I did do the numbers to make sure. And for us, it is a better investment than the renting. And it does solve a lot of long-term problems or long-term desires, right? But the question is, how is that going to affect my income? Is it going to put pressure on me, more pressure on all of us, right? Am I going to be thinking more about money? Because I really live in a sense of abundance and financial freedom. Is it going to throw me back into old ways of thinking? I mean, there's all those questions that kind of swirl around. And I know a lot of times people aren't very aware of what they're thinking. I happen to be very aware of most of my thoughts, even though they could be even subconscious and subliminal, right? However, there's a reason for that, and I'll share that in a minute. But can I sustain this payment? Okay, so maybe the new payment is fine for now. That much. I can look at how much money's been coming in for the last few years, no problem. Ooh, but what about next year? What about next year? Will I be able to pay that next year? Gosh. How about worry about my age, right? A lot of times, and I don't mind saying, I'm a year and a couple months away from being 70. So I think to myself, and the voice in your head goes, you should be winding down, Marianne, you should be winding down. Well, whose rule is that? There is a rule out there, but it's not my rule and it's not God's rule, but I still have this thing that goes on, like, getting a mortgage when you're almost 70 years old, it's kind of nuts, don't you think? Right? So I can go through the worry about that. Worry about moving, right? Years ago, when we lived in California, we moved 10 times in 9 years. 10 times in 9 years. My husband still suffers from traumatic shock as I think he has PTSD regarding moving. You might want to say something about that, honey, but yeah. So, and then we moved to Rochester for 24 years and only had 2 moves. But the last move was a doozy. All right, we moved there and we moved twice. But then moving from there to Arizona, we had, by the time in 24 years, we accumulated a lot of stuff. We had to move 6,000 square feet of stuff and make decisions about it all. And then do things on the house and repair. All those things are little stresses and memories in your body that when you think about moving again, it activates that nervous system. It activates it. And all of a sudden you can be filled with dread. So whatever joy and excitement you have about the new move, it is now filled with dread. Okay? What do you do? What do you do? Because you can start spiraling. You can start spiraling. You can get paralyzed. You can go into panic mode. You could say, I'm not doing this. You can shut down any desire you have because there's too much worry and too much to do, right? So I don't know if there's something in your life. Maybe you can post that. Is there something in your life that you desire? Is there something on the horizon that is within reach? But as you think about it, it kind of makes your heart shudder. Kind of makes your nervous system just go on edge. And that feeling alone can create a negative experience for you that you want to avoid, right? So take a second, think about that. But I'm going to turn this around and give you some tools for that. So before I do that, is there anybody else here that wants to say hi? I love seeing your faces, your names here. Yeah. So anyway, welcome to you. I know there's more people on right now than I can see names for. So I just say welcome to you, whatever you're doing while you're watching this. I hope it's productive. Okay, so let's turn this around. All right, let's turn this around. Now I said one of the ways to turn worry around is to turn it into wonder. Turn worry into wonder. All right, how do you do that? How do you do that? Well, there's very clear ways to do this, easy ways to do this. All right, it just takes practice. So one of the things for you to understand is this, is that worry is an opportunity to lay down new tracks, mental tracks, okay? Mental tracks, mindset, neuroscience, neural pathways, lay down new tracks, all right? Address false beliefs. It is a wonderful opportunity to address false beliefs. I don't know if any of you can see some of the false beliefs that were operating, that were creating worry in the situation I was talking about earlier, just a few minutes ago, about related to buying a house. All right. And I want to go over some of those. But worry is an opportunity to lay down new tracks, to address false beliefs, and to stand gloriously in the truth. To stand gloriously in the truth. Okay. One of the things that, and I'm going to talk about what that truth is in just a minute, but one of the things, a couple of things I don't want you to do. I don't want you to do this. Do not ignore that which makes you worry. Okay? Don't ignore it. Don't pretend it doesn't exist. Don't push it under a rug. Don't try to slap some positive affirmations on it. It's not going to work unless you've already done the deep work related to it. Affirmations will always help remind you, but it doesn't do the deep work for you. All right. So that's something that you really need to take seriously. Don't ignore it. Don't sugarcoat it. And do not should yourself. I should know better. Okay. I should know better. I shouldn't worry, but, all right, shoulding on yourself is not going to help you. Be curious. Turn worry into wonder. Wonder is childlike curiosity. Wonder, I wonder what this is about. I wonder what belief is lurking underneath this worry. I wonder what false belief or what memory is being triggered here. Okay. One of the things we discovered when my husband especially was thinking about the move, there was a sense, I could feel it all over him. There was a sense of dread. A sense of dread about it all. Well, when he went to address, as we talked about it and he processed through some of it, it was the memory and some of the trauma associated and the hard work associated with all those other moves and thinking that this is how it's going to be again. And it wasn't even as much of a mind as an automatic nervous response. Honey, feel free to correct me on this or make a note about this, okay? Yeah, he's always watching. So, sometimes it is just an automatic nervous system reaction to something that's happening. But when we turn worry into wonder, it's an opportunity to see what that's about. And every time you see what it's about without judgment, you are on your way to greater freedom. Okay? You're on your way to greater freedom. Okay, Mindy, yeah. Join us again later. I'm glad this is meaning something to you. So worry is formed from the belief. Worry is formed from the belief that you don't have what it takes. You don't have the tools, you don't have the resources, you are lacking something, right? You don't have the control and you feel like you need it. There are all kinds of things that you need to solve a problem in your mind. Then worry is saying you don't need it and you don't have it, all right? You're inadequate. Your resources are inadequate. Your creativity is inadequate. Your problem solving skills are inadequate. You don't have what it takes. So with that, this is an opportunity because a queen has the clarity, the confidence, and the courage about whatever situation is in front of her. The clarity, confidence, and courage. 3 words there that is so key to operating in this world as a queen. What's going to give you clarity? What's going to give you confidence? What's going to give you courage? So let's talk about what that does. Now, I want to contrast this a minute with, let's say, making dinner. Making dinner. Now, I know not everybody's a cook. Okay, so you're going to make dinner for company. Company's coming over. I personally don't have to pray for 3 hours and seeking God's will about what to make for dinner. Why? Because I've gotten kind of skilled. I grew up in a family of cooks. So while I may not be the best cook in the world and not maybe the best cook in my family, I can put a good meal together. I have my husband resource. He can put a good meal together. All right. So feeling that sense of confidence gives you then, let's say you have a lot of people coming over and you need more than confidence. You need some courage, right? The past can help you. The skills you've developed, if you think about it, can help you with your current situation. Now, let's say though there's something a little bit more like, we'll go back to finding the right home. All right. How do we turn worry into wonder there? When you're feeling stressed and triggered, here's some questions you can ask yourself. And ask it in a way that invites curiosity and wonder. For example, I wonder what this is about. How can I grow in this? What additional false beliefs are in operation here? Now, if you're one of my clients, you're not afraid. You're very skilled. You become skilled. I teach my clients how to become skilled in understanding how false beliefs are formed, how it interferes with faith, how to assert and to practice the truth and move forward in the truth. And once they do that, it opens the doors for creativity. It opens the doors for opportunity. It opens the doors for miracles. All right. So they are not afraid of false beliefs. Now, maybe when we first work together, they don't get it. They don't quite understand, right? But they learn. And once they learn about false beliefs and how the lies are operating in their life and what to do about it, they become much more skilled, confident, and courageous people. And that's what you want. You want to be more skilled, confident, and courageous, especially when it comes to mindset tools. All right. So this isn't necessarily something you can just read about. All right. I could give you some step-by-step instructions of how to do this. But sometimes you're so caught in the middle of it, you actually need somebody to help you to do that. And I have talked many times about that already. So what truth can I get more grounded in? Another question for you. What truth? If I am operating by false beliefs, and it's false beliefs of not enough, of not being enough, of not having enough, of some kind of not enoughism, then the truth is more than enough. I'm more than enough. With God, I'm more than enough. All the resources I have, all the resources that I need and desire are already available to me. I have access to them. They will manifest when I need them. All right. These are truth. This is truth. Also, I'm going to give you three verses that can help you here. Number 1, 2 Peter 1:2. Through his divine promises, through God's divine promises, right? We have been given, it's already done. We have been given all things pertaining to abundant life and godly living, good living. All right. We've been given all things. It's already done. So now it's just a matter of accessing it. All right. Second verse, Romans 5:17. I've mentioned this one in the past. He, she, who receives the abundance of grace and favor, right? It's about receiving grace and favor. What blocks receiving grace and favor? Lies and false beliefs. They block it. They block it. So that's why it's so important for you to understand what false beliefs are operating in your life so that grace and favor is free to flow and you can receive it freely. Sometimes we think we don't deserve it. We're not worthy. We've done this wrong, that wrong. So we don't receive. We are not receivers. One of the hardest things I think for people, especially people of faith, is being a receiver. Yes, being a receiver. You need to become a receiver. So, she who receives the abundance of grace and favor and the free gift of righteousness, which is mean everything right. Everything right. All right. When we receive this, then we can reign as kings and queens in this life through Christ. Yes. Okay. But it's about the receiving. And it's about addressing whatever it is in the way of you receiving. Third thing is Matthew 19:26. You know, what is impossible with man is possible with God. With God, all things are possible. Now we know these verses. We know them. But what is it that's in the way of you banking your life on them, of banking your future on them? What is in the way? Okay? Address those things that are in the way. Let God clear the path. Get somebody to help you see, because sometimes you don't see. We just don't. So those are some things that you can do to turn worry into wonder about those things. And in the end, the truth is, God loves you. God is good, and he loves you, and you have his favor. You have his favor. Again, what I said earlier, when there was a bidding war going on with the house that we desire, right? It was favor that caused us to get picked. Now, we put in a good offer too, but sometimes it doesn't matter. You need that extra supernatural touch. That extra supernatural touch. It happens to be on Facebook. It happened to be on Facebook. All right? God uses all kinds of means. But if you're a person who wants to make an impact in the world, you have a message, you have a vision, you have a voice, and you are presenting it in some kind of social media platform, take heart. All right? People are watching. Take heart. People are watching. Okay, so ultimately, what's the truth here? When it comes to the economy, worrying about the economy, the word that God gave to me is, I'm already ahead of it. I'm already ahead of it, and I'm going to let you in on the wisdom. You ask for wisdom. James 1 says, ask for wisdom. He's going to give it liberally. You ask for wisdom, you're going to get it. All right? That's a promise. So when you trust in that, then there you go. You don't have to worry. You can be in peace. And when we are in peace and calm, we receive much, much better. As far as my business goes, the worry about my business. Well, it's been God who's been behind it all along. Is he all of a sudden going to stop? Is he all of a sudden going to say, okay, I've done enough for you. You've had your chance. All right. And after all, Marianne, you're almost 70. So, right? No, God isn't going to say that. God doesn't care how old I am. God doesn't care about how much he's given to me because he just wants to keep blessing me and through me bless others. So I don't have to worry about that now either. As far as my age, well, I already talked about that. Okay? And for removing trauma and stress. Well, let's just create a new reality, dear. Let's just create a new reality. How do we want this to go? How do we want this to feel? What kind of help do we want? Everything we need is going to be provided. Whatever we desire this experience to be, we can create that reality. We have the power. We have the power. So, any comments here? Love to hear them. Even if you're doing the replay, love to hear that. My hubby says, yes, automatic. Didn't even realize it until we talked. Yeah, that was related to the move, the actual move and the dread and all the details surrounding that. We had a wonderful talk in the morning. And as we walk in the morning, every morning we do a 45-minute walk. We talk about how we slept, thoughts we have, what's going on, And at some point too, and I don't know if this will interest any of you, but at some point, and I was talking to my husband about this, I may do a workshop for some of you women who need to know how to allow your husband to process freely with you, There is a heart and an art behind it. And I'm very blessed that my husband talks to me and he shares with me. But as he says, being able to process freely and for me to ask him the right questions without judgment is very important to him too. So anybody ever interested in that, let me know. Okay. All right. So any other comments here? Any other ideas, thoughts, questions? Tomorrow, our new home on the water. I'm very inspired by this place. Is being inspected. So hopefully, well, I am going to just say goodbye for now. And one more thing I wanted to add. I do have a private Facebook group and I have teachings in there, abundance mastery classes in there. And I'm in there also. This is more for instruction and not instruction, for inspiration. But if you want more training in how to flow in greater abundance, how to tackle the false beliefs and to put on truth and walk in truth, right? You may want to look up that. I'll put the link in for that, and you may want to be a part of that. It's a wonderful group. It's all my clients, everybody that's ever worked with me at some level. And go there and get even more training than here. Okay? All right. See you. Let's see, what's Monday? I think I'll come back on Thursday. All right. Love you all. Bye-bye.